Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming. Can all the moms in the room please stand?
Yeah, can I have a round of applause for all the mama bears in the house? Woo!
Thank you for supporting your children and all the children of Nevada. My name is Lorena, and I am the founder of My Children's Advocate.
Hi, and I'm Lydia, and I'm the founder of Nevada Education Warriors.
You may remember us from a picture that was circulating on the internet.
We are the mama bears that confronted Governor Sisolak on masking our kids.
That's right. My Children's Advocate is a group that has brought together fighters whose sole purpose has been to stop the indoctrination of our kids and advocate for their rights. Fighters who have protested outside of schools, rain or shine, twice a day, 5 days a week for months, even when our own homeschooled kids were back at home still sleeping. We do it, we fight for all the kids, for the future of our country. We have spoken up at state and local school boards meetings, even when our own emotions took the best of us and the meeting had to be shut down. Wasn't what we were going for, but hey, this is what it looks like when you keep poking mama bears. Our goal has always been to spread awareness and empower you to speak up, to let you know you're not alone in your frustration. We have seen growing school fights so vicious that have ended in near fatalities, yet our radicalized school board is more focused on building racism task forces, failing to give attention where it matters most, the safety of our kids. The school board chooses to deny evidence from qualified scientific studies that show masking our children is damaging to both their physical and psychological health. They have put forth a grading system that deserves itself the biggest F of all.
And we want you to know it doesn't have to be this way. We have the power to change it. Nevada Education Warriors is committed to helping parents educate their kids outside the public school system.
And together we want to introduce the only person prepared and willing to take the fight of our kids to the next level. Please welcome Joey Gilbert. Joey, 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 Joey.
I brought Joe with me. Just kidding. All right, first and foremost, thank you guys all for being here. I know everyone has, things to do on a Tuesday night. We all do, but you're here with me tonight, so thank you. God, where do I even begin? What a bunch of insanity we have all dealt with this past 22 months, right? Let's just call it what it is. Absolute insanity, deranged people out of their minds, following no science, bent out of shape. They don't even know why they're bent out of shape. They're just mad at the world, all right? And again, for people that don't know who I am, my name is Joey Gilbert. I'm a father first, okay? Father first. My 11-year-old daughter is everything to me. She is my top priority. She is the reason why I'm here today, why I'm in this fight. 100%. It's for the kids. That's why I'm here. And, I never in a million years did I think I would be running for governor, getting in politics. I can't stand these corrupt scumbags. Okay? Let's just get something straight. I'm not going to pull punches with you guys. You guys have had 22 months of nonsense. All right? People telling you to be quiet, blowing the buzzer at 3 minutes, seeing parents carried out of the school board meetings. It's ridiculous, right? At the end of the day, all you're trying to do is have your voices heard about your kids, right? I mean, there's no more precious asset on this earth than our children, right? And so that's why I'm here. And let me just roll through some of my formal remarks, and then I have a cool little PowerPoint. And again, this is informal. This is for everyone to, we're going to air some stuff that you might not know about, some stuff you do know about. But it's all true. It's all, fact check me, right? Fact check me. It's true, all right? And it's stuff that they don't tell you about. You go to these school board meetings and they pat each other on the back and they give out little gifts and, great job here, great job there. Our schools have been last in the nation for a decade. I don't think anybody should be getting a pat on the back, you know, and that's just where I'm at. So let me just say this. Thank you for your interest. I'm Joey Gilbert. I'm running for governor, but this is not, you know, primarily a campaign. It's a campaign event. It's an event that I'm hosting for 2 reasons, or 3 reasons, and I already told you one of them. One of them is my daughter, all right, my 11-year-old daughter, that I can't send to public school because, number 1, I don't believe she'll be safe, and number 2, I don't think she'll learn what I want her to learn. So that's why she's not in school. 2, I'm a business owner who has an extremely hard time finding public school graduates whose academic and behavioral levels are high enough to be able to hire them. You guys understand that? That's a bad deal. And number 3, I'm a lifelong Nevada resident. I don't want to see our state's economy and social fabric destroyed, which it will be if we don't fix these broken schools. So that's a simple thesis of this. Now, there's a couple things you guys are going to have to get on the same page with me about. Okay, when I say our schools are broken and need to be fixed, I say that they are academically dysfunctional, morally bankrupt, socially dangerous, and fiscally incompetent. And that's coming from a businessman's perspective. Before we begin, I want to clarify my rationale for making those claims, because if you don't accept total public school dysfunction as our starting point, you might as well just leave the meeting now. We're probably not going to get along. Because everything I'm going to share is built on these provable premises. The most accepted government test, the NAEP, as well as widely accepted private tests, the Smarter Balanced Assessment, both show that Nevada students have a functional illiteracy rate of between 65 and 95%. Depending on students' race, with the average for all students being at 80%. 80% are functionally illiterate. What do those scores mean to Clark County schools? It means that on average, for every 10 students, only 2 of them can read and do math at a level that would enable them to live independently without support. These are scary numbers, guys. 90% of our 11th and 12th graders that take the ACT exam for college readiness score so low that they do not qualify for even the lowest community college level courses. That means that in spite of how many times the superintendents, board members, principals, and teachers over the past 10 years have told us that our schools are excellent and that our kids are doing great, the sad truth is that a majority of our students are learning almost nothing. Have received thousands of diplomas, or tens of thousands of diplomas, 90% of which are worthless, have been prepared by Clark County schools for almost no career that would support them and a family. That is why most respected national ranking school system for U.S. schools, the Quality Counts Annual Survey, has ranked all Nevada schools as an average of 50th, worst in the nation for over a decade. Try to think of even one time when these 2 unarguable facts, that the majority of our students are learning almost nothing and that our Nevada schools are the worst in the entire nation, have ever been publicly acknowledged by our superintendent or school board members. They usually ignore the topic entirely, or when it has been mentioned, they've made excuses and lied about it. So let me get back to a moment ago when I said that these facts are a sad truth. That's not accurate. These facts, the degree to which we've all been lied to by a $300 an hour superintendent and practically every one of the thousands of administrators under him, this is not a sad truth. It's an angry truth, an absolutely criminal truth, and that's why my presentation tonight is called No Mercy for Those Responsible, because they deserve no mercy for what they've done and continue to do every day to over 300,000 children. So, speaking of a superintendent, Dr. Jara, I originally invited him to be up on stage with me tonight. I wanted to give the superintendent a chance to provide his solutions for all the problems that we're going to be talking about, but Mr. Jara said he didn't want to discuss these problems in public. Imagine that. I even offered him $10,000 to the charity of his choosing. He still didn't bite. Smart man. And why do you think he didn't want to stand up here tonight in front of all you? Because even at over $400,000 per year, Dr. Jara has no solutions. None. He has no idea how to fix this mess he's responsible for in the lowest performing school district in the lowest performing state in the nation. Someone please tell me why the school board hired back Mr. Jara after firing him a few weeks ago, because I really don't understand it. I understand it a little more now, but we'll get into that later. But the purpose of this meeting tonight is not to get you feeling hopeless. So guys, this isn't like a little pity party. This isn't going to be just me, airing grievances. We're going to drill down on some of this. I don't want you leaving here depressed or even angry. The purpose of this meeting is to send you home with 3 things. Lots of solutions and things you can start doing immediately. The commitment to get organized and start taking action, which my mama bears. Thank you so much for everything you've been doing. And the hope that these solutions will improve your schools, because they will. The consultants I've worked with on this presentation have applied this and proven every single one of these solutions in a variety of schools. We're ready to get started with solutions, and then there will be plenty of time for your questions at the end. So thank you. All right, now, little liquid coffee, little caffeine. Thanks, Paul. All right, so we are here at the AHERN Hotel. We are in Las Vegas, Nevada, if anyone's not sure. I want to give a special shout out to the AHERN, because guys, look, we're in here with no masks. No masks. Mr. Don AHERN, Papa Don, has been so amazing. Him and his wife, Carolyn, have been fantastic to us and our movement, supporting us every step of the way. So to get our, like I said, shout out to the AHERN Hotel. Now, taking back our schools, February 8th, 2022. Guys, this is the start of it. This is ground zero. And we're at a point in our country's history where we need fighters. We need people to step up with the moral courage and take these guys head on, like the Mama Bears have been doing. Like the Mama Bears have been following me to every county commission, school board meeting, health board meeting. We even went to the Gaming Control Board and read them the riot act. So now, next step in taking back our schools. It is through our schools that the battle for the future of America will be won or lost. No exaggeration, this is a battle, and we are losing right now. Vouchers. The only real and lasting solution, my plan, is for full funded vouchers for every single parent. Never been tried anywhere in the nation. And when you've got the 50th, worst performing schools in the nation, can you go any worse? So if there's a place to try it, we're going to try it here. Would improve our schools immediately. Vouchers, the only real lasting solution. Again, our schools are academically, morally, socially, and fiscally dysfunctional for only one reason. And again, this is a private industry, guy. This is how we do it in normal business. They don't have to compete for customers. If they don't have to compete for customers, they have no incentive to get better. I mean, would you? They just keep sending them. Parents get in a bind, they got no one to watch the kids. You saw what kind of a disaster happened with this distance learning. And the kids failed miserably. So people worry some kids might not receive a good education. Very funny. We're last. What do we have to lose? I mean, seriously, what do we have to lose? How do we get vouchers? Lobby legislators to change the law. Students must attend regularly, okay? But until we get vouchers, we improve attendance. So vouchers will take a little time. Now people will say, Joey, how are you going to do that? Well, how about I veto everything they bring to me as governor until they start playing ball? How about I veto everything until they fix that AB 321, which is the mail-in ballot nonsense? How about I tell them you're going to go fix, this attendance stuff. You're going to fix the curriculum. You're going to fix the restorative discipline. You're going to fix the credit recovery. Then we'll talk. So again, daily absence rate is 25 to 40%. You can't teach students who aren't there. Excessive absences are against the law in Nevada. So we got to enforce the law. Approve attendance. Nevada law requires tickets, fines, and court appearances for both students and parents, and withholding students' driver's licenses. I know one thing I wanted when I was 16 is CCD enforcing the law. No one's enforcing the law. Not enforcing the law on anything. Vegas has turned into like a crime haven, all under Sheriff Joe Lombardo, who's running for governor. Improving attendance. Chronic absences prevent students from being employment ready. They fail to develop a responsible sense of attendance, punctuality, and behaving appropriately. Guys, you got to go to school. They got to go to school. They got to go to school every day. They got to be on time. They got to do their work. So lobby the legislature. Pay schools only for students who are present at school. You want to see them change the game? Now schools get the same funding whether students are present or absent. When chronic absenteeism starts costing schools their funding, it will stop. Who agrees with me? Who agrees with me on that? So voluntary drug testing. Did you guys know that 20 to 30% of our students are under the influence while in class? 20, 30%. We also have the highest under the influence, basically per capita in the nation between Washoe and Clark County. Gives them a reason to not use. Okay, back to why we would do voluntary drug testing. Builds students' pride in themselves and their school, gives them a reason to not use, and reduces crime and violence. And everywhere they've tried this and made it voluntary, it has worked, and it has worked wonders. So for some of the people out there that say you can't force, we're not going to force anybody. We're going to give them a sense of pride to show up. Okay, drug-free, alcohol-free. Voluntary drug testing. How could we implement drug testing? Publicly lobby and pressure the superintendent and board until they agree to try it. We're just going to ask them to try it. No more homework. We have any kids in the audience? Any kids out there? So no, you guys like your homework? Because it's worth nothing. It's absolutely worthless. It might have served a purpose at one time, but now years of research, at worst it's detrimental, and at best it's a waste of time. So I'm going to get rid of homework. If I didn't already just earn your guys' vote as governor, come on. That should be the clincher right there. That should be the clincher. Talk to all your friends that are 18. So no more homework. Teaches kids nothing and makes them hate school. I asked my daughter, she's 11 years old, we have a homeschool program. She hates the work. And I gotta be honest with you, I can't wait to let Paul take over because it's worthless. It's worthless. Plus her very liberal curriculum back on the East Coast in Vermont rejected her COVID paper she did, by the way, Paul. Yeah, I wonder why that is. So encourages cheating, causes arguments at home, and it typically is thrown away by teachers after hardly a glance. Do you guys know that? So we're going to stop the homework nonsense. Why do schools still pride themselves on how much homework they force kids to do? Plenty of valuable work needs to be done by students at home. Okay, cleaning the house and prepping meals, reading aloud to younger siblings, working a part-time job, enrichment activities, athletics, music, and the arts. Yep. Eliminate credit recovery. Let me just say this too, and I don't know, I'm sure it's in there, Paul, but I want to say this. When we talk about giving kids something to do, I don't think you should be able to graduate from high school without 200 hours of paid employment. 200 hours of paid employment. So eliminate credit recovery. Its original purpose was okay. Students who were failing a class would be allowed to do progressive makeup work before the end of the semester and get a passing grade. Now it's morphed into, you don't have to go to class, you don't have to turn in assignments, you don't have to pass tests, nothing. At the end of the semester, you get 3 to 5 hours of extra credit work and you pass. Anybody out here working a job right now where you don't have to show up? Or if you show up, a couple days a week, they're still going to pay you? You going to keep that job? What do you think we're teaching our kids? So eliminate credit recovery. Continued. Schools have abused credit recovery to increase graduation rates. Now students who don't even go to class or do any work are allowed 2 to 5 hours of busy work, assignments at the end of a semester class, and receive a C or better. That's unacceptable. Students rely on credit recovery to pass classes they haven't attended. We wonder why 90% of our graduating seniors don't qualify for college level courses. This is why. And this is not what they talk about. Community action is needed. Demand that legislators remove the credit recovery law. Administrators stop forcing teachers to pass students who do no work and don't attend their classes. Now, okay, here's what we just talked about. Make paid work experience a graduation requirement. Make 200 hours of paid work experience a requirement for graduation. Over 80% of graduating students have never had a job. Who worked here when they were younger? Anybody raise? Whoa, look at that. I want everybody to take a look. Everyone keep your hand up. Who worked when you were in school? Okay, do you see this? Now, thank you for that. That was amazing. That was amazing. Now what do we see? You see your kids walking. They got the mask on, face down, they're staring at this phone, right? I got an 11-year-old. I'm constantly taking the phone away from her. She hates me, right? Nonstop, pull it out of her hand. But that's what you're seeing. They need to go to work. They need to get a job, right? Car wash, bakery, I don't care. Figure it out. Go find a job. 200 hours. Work experience supports the purpose of mandatory schooling. Gives students the skills necessary to work and support themselves. Isn't that what this is all about? Aren't we hoping to prepare our students so that they can fend for themselves? So our kids can grow up and take care of themselves and a family? Isn't that what this is all about, the whole school deal? So why aren't we doing it? So make paid work experience a graduation requirement. Paid employment teaches many life skills our students are lacking. Maturity, responsibility, and the ability to take criticism from a supervisor. Amen to that. Right now, for some of us in here that, my father he was in the Marine Corps, and he's a retired lieutenant colonel. All right, I was in the military. Some of us get it. If you haven't been through one of those types of, upbringings, you probably don't get it. But if we don't push these kids into stuff like this, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. So, handling money wisely and dealing with the public, a strong work ethic must be learned. Okay? I say this to my daughter all the time. Champions aren't born. They're made. Same thing here. This is something that has to be learned. Many states require it, and it works. So again, we have nothing to lose. We have nothing to lose. Now, stop the cheating epidemic. Now, you guys would never know this. I was blown away by this when I really got to drill down on it. So 90% of students cheat regularly. So what's the point? Honor students cheat the most. Reason why? We have to be able to compete. Cell phones in class, most popular cheating method. Yeah. Online cheating services are growing. Students can buy any kind of help, from homework and tests to term papers, or even all your semester work for anywhere from $40 to $1,000. It's unbelievable. How does cheating hurt a school? Has made high school transcripts meaningless to colleges. It's contagious, erodes, degrades the moral environment of the entire school. The biggest problem created by out-of-control cheating and lying: right becomes whatever you can get away with, and wrong becomes only what you get caught doing. Again, when I say socially dysfunctional, morally, dysfunctional, all these things, this is all part of it. 2 ways to stop the cheating. Primary, a school climate that teaches strong moral values and teach students in ways that make cheating almost impossible. State law requires, exit exams, you have to pass them. State law requires all graduating seniors to pass an exit exam. They do not all pass this exam, and yet our schools still give them diplomas. Make the superintendent enforce the law. Stop graduating these kids that are absolutely functionally illiterate. Question. So exit exams, you have to pass them. When national and state test scores keep going down, how have graduation rates kept going up? Anybody answer that? They don't care. Answer, CCSD can't cheat on the test, but they can and do cheat on issuing credits and report cards. So improving behavior. What is this? So people have been asking about this. Does anybody in here know what restorative discipline is? Anybody have an idea? No?
Is that one where they're having kids come in and talk about their problems to each other?
That's part of it. That's part of it. Well, let me share this with you. So as you guys know that every year there's 220,000 physical assaults on our teachers across the nation. 220,000, that's 1,200 a day. These are physical assaults, the sexual assaults with other students, selling drugs, bringing weapons, anything you can think of, they're getting a stern talking to. There was a student up at Worcester High School in Reno who threatened to shoot up the school. Was going to go home and come back and shoot up the school. School police did their job, detained him. We're about to run him up to Jans Evans, place I'm very familiar with, the juvenile, place for kids. And this principal came out and said, no, stop. Take the handcuffs on him. She took him across the street for a burger. Talked to him, said he was fine. How do you think those school police feel? Yeah. So, discipline approach adopted by the Nevada State Legislature. Stated goal, reduce the increasing disrespect, crime, and violence in schools. The real goal of restorative discipline, reduce the hugely disproportionate suspension expulsion rates of Black and Latino students. Let's call it spade a spade. That's what it's for. What is restorative discipline? If a student breaks the rules or hurts someone, they are counseled but seldom or barely punished. It's an interesting approach for trying to control antisocial juvenile behavior. Just one problem. It's been a colossal, epic, huge failure. Schools are increasingly dangerous and volatile, daily violence and teacher assaults. And again, you guys saw what just happened, what was it, last week? That little girl beat unconscious? Well, no one did anything. Teacher, what I can't understand is how these kids are sitting still. No one's stopping this. That never would have happened when I was in school, ever. Restorative discipline statistics. Black Latino students' antisocial behavior has increased. Restorative discipline doesn't deal with the cause of the racially disproportionate behavior. Fairly implemented traditional discipline works. It's colorblind and it's effective. CCSD should petition the state to reestablish traditional discipline methods. That's simple. Superintendents and boards say restorative discipline is effective. Teachers and statistics say it's not. Who's right? Look at our schools. This is why campus visits are not allowed. Stop reverse racism. So improving race-related issues. Stop reverse racism. Demand equal treatment of all races. This is something that's got to go. This has got to go. Huge academic and behavioral gaps between white, Asian students and Latino and Black students. Schools have failed to fix the gaps. For decades, Asian students have best grades in behavior, followed by whites and Latinos. Generally, Blacks have lowest achievement and worst behavior by far, and race hustlers blame it on racism. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come out there and I'm going to talk the truth. But exceptions to this generalization prove the cause. A lack of personal accountability, not a racist system. Boards and superintendents almost 100% subscribe to the systemic racism theory and institute reverse racism policies and practices to try and fix it. It's not working. And as I just said, it's getting worse by the day. Academic and behavioral standards have been lowered. Attempting to close the racial achievement gap has only made the situation worse. Lowering standards is highly racist. It says Blacks and Latinos aren't as capable as whites and Asians. And we all know that's a bunch of nonsense. Improving race-related issues. Continued. Schools with equal racial achievement do three things. Same standards for all students. Hold all parents accountable for their children's behavior. Let's say that one more time. Hold all parents accountable for their children's behavior. It's not the teacher's job. These teachers are already doing enough. Some of them are maxed out. Now let me say something. Now listen, I know there's plenty of teachers out there not doing it, but there's a lot of very good teachers in our school system, and they deserve props. So hold parents accountable. Don't blame lack of achievement and poor behavior on racism. Students are force-fed biased curriculum, racist and anti-white indoctrination, a distorted view of America's history, perverse sex education. All right, have you guys seen some of this? All right, I just saw someone showed up at the pizza place. I had a little meet and greet the other night, Joe's Pizza. I was blown away by all the letters that came in from parents saying we don't want it, and they just pump it through. Doesn't make any sense to me. No substantial academic teaching whatsoever, if you really look what's going on. So this can be corrected if the community will demand the following. Objective teaching, unbiased, factually accurate curriculum, and replace the state's curriculum which allows and requires biased teaching. Selecting new superintendent. So we got to figure out how do we get there. All right, now I've been counseled a little bit. Some people say that Jara's not as bad as we think he is. I think that remains to be seen, but we'll get there. So choose an education outsider as your next superintendent. Personally, just like I said to you guys earlier, I'm not a politician. I'm a father first. I'm a businessman. I don't think you should elect one more scumbag career politician to anything. Just like I don't think you should put another superintendent from another school system back in the driver's seat. Find someone else that's done something else. Traditional superintendent candidates will disagree with every change you've heard this evening. Every single change. How do I know? I've spoken to them. It's not even worth my time. I'm not going to interview them. Maybe the board will. I don't know how it works, but we'll figure it out. They will be the exact same as all your previous failed superintendents. And guys, just in case you're wondering, so I tell people this all the time. I don't know everything. But you want to know something? Henry Ford said it best. You don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. You can hire him. You can hire him. I will bring on the smartest women and men in the country to help me do this job. I got no problem saying that. No problem saying that. I'm not going to try and pretend to know more than a lot of these folks, but I'm going to hire the best. So next, if you're serious about better schools, go outside the box. Way outside the box. Look at other career fields, tech, business, engineering, ex-military, science, etc. They used to. Very true. So look for proven leaders, innovators, people who love children and are not afraid of change. Moral courage and uncompromised principles. All right? Many districts have done this. Guys, look at the best performing districts across the nation. Go see what they're doing. And again, in the governor debates today, there's people that said, Guy Nora, a guy I happen to like, he said, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to go look at what's working in these other states and duplicate it. I'm going to do what my boy Paul White over here has done successfully down in Los Angeles. I'm going to bring it here. So stop wasting money. Now, I'm probably, if there's any school police here, you're probably not going to like me after this talk, but privatized support services. Over 65% of all school districts privatize. Examples, transportation, custodial, landscape maintenance, security, accounting, printing, construction, all those services and more. Why privatize, subcontract? Save money and better quality of work. All right? It's about our kids, guys. It's about our kids. We want the best. CCSD has 25,000 non-teaching employees with a potential savings of 30% on privatized services. The savings could be huge. Separate productive from non-productive workers. So what's the budget of CCSD? Does anybody know?
$5.2 billion a year.
I like that. Too much. So $5.2 billion. I've seen numbers that show it is almost as high as $6 billion. We've got some guests in attendance tonight that probably know exactly what it is. I want to announce that my friend Katie Williams is here, trustee, and someone who is helping me get up to speed on stuff. I don't want anyone to say anything rude to her because she's doing as best job as she can in this completely broken, corrupt system. And our friend Sarah for being here as well. Thank you guys. So let me just say this. 30%. Do you guys understand what 30% of $5.2 billion is? Anybody want to throw a number out? How much? 1.5 billion? How much? 1.5 billion. You guys think we could do something with $1.5 billion? Build a new casino. You know what? I've been told I can't call them schools, but we could have student support centers. We could have Wi-Fi, we could have Chromebooks, we could have everything we want for these kids if we did some things a little differently, if we used innovative business techniques to save money.
How about making it illegal to donate their money to political campaigns?
I like that. Thank you. I like that. We can make it illegal to donate money to political campaigns. I'm down with that. I don't need their money. So stop wasting money. Would privatizing displace some employees? The purpose of schools is to educate children, not employ adults. Newsflash. Too bad. So sad. Okay? Action to take, demand a mixed committee to get estimates for privatizing CCSD support services. You really could go like this. Duck, duck, goose, duck, duck, goose, duck, duck, goose, and get rid of them. One at a time. If they really love kids that much, go teach. Go teach. We don't need to pay all these people these top, salaries to sit around. So, become a temporary substitute teacher. What's the best way to see how bad it is in our schools? Become a temporary substitute teacher. Guess what? No experience required. And then with the pandemic, Sisolak was letting, I think you had to be 18 with a pulse. You could go teach. All right? No experience required. Currently, there we go. I didn't just make that up. Currently passing a rule required is just a high school diploma. Anybody want to be a teacher? Go check it out. Report back to me. You'd be like a secret shopper, except you'd be a secret teacher. So establish a prototype for an ideal classroom. Demand the development of an ideal, replicable prototype classroom. CCSD doesn't have one school that practices all the transformative practices I've outlined. Not one. So who wants to start one? Who wants to be the pilot school? Every teacher, administrator, and the community could observe the prototype and duplicate it at their schools. Our schools can never improve until we have a replicable model to follow. We got to do it first. So teachers, no more neutrality and silence. No more. The primary reason why our schools have remained in such a dysfunctional mess, 15,000 teachers refuse to tell the community the truth about how bad the situation has become. Listen, guys, I have teachers contacting me all the time on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, direct message. They're scared. It's time to step up. And when they have the right governor in office that's going to back them, we hope they'll step up. We hope they'll step up. So they're morally neutral regarding abuse and education malpractice that they observe. They support a union that supports bad superintendents and refuses to protect the teachers who speak out. Absolutely.
If they get fired, so on and so forth, we got to support these people, no matter who it is.
We're going to get to that. I promise you. All it requires for evil to prosper, as everybody knows, is for good men and women to do nothing. Demand availability of unannounced school visits for parents and the community. The only way to see what's really going on. Board members can't even do them. Unannounced visits, announced visits are scripted and rehearsed. Superintendents oppose unannounced visits, and most board members don't fight back. The excuse, we don't want to interrupt the students' learning or the teachers. What are they learning? What are you disrupting? Yeah, it's fighting. Nonsense. They're just hiding. So, action plan. Develop a relationship with your school district school board member, and best way to educate them about these issues. So board members aren't really against improving schools, they just don't know anything about the important issues. More interested in protocol than in fighting for better schools for our kids. Now again, this isn't all board members, just the majority of them. Passive policy requiring trustee site visitation reports at every meeting. Every meeting. Board members almost never discuss issues of learning and behavior. Have you guys ever wondered that? Why is none of that being talked about? I've sat through more school board meetings the last year and a half than I could ever imagine possible. I never hear any of this. So pass a new board policy, a minimum of 2 unannounced visits to different schools each month by every trustee. How'd that work? That'd be amazing. Board members must meet privately with teachers. No principals in the room. No principals in the room. Begin all board meetings with presentations about their observations and teacher feedback. Now we'll get into this because we're already worried about what's going to happen if they do that. Announced school visits by board members are worthless. And this is coming from the teachers. I'm sitting down with principals. I'm sitting down with the psychologists. I'm sitting down with nurses. I'm sitting down with teachers. They all tell me the same thing. So either somebody's lying or I don't know what to tell you. So questions and comments. So again, guys, we have it in our power to begin the world again. That's Thomas Paine, 1776. So I say to you guys, this is the time for all of us to stand up. This is a time for us to make a change together. And again, we can no longer accept this failure. Because look what's happening to our kids. Look what's happening to our schools. We are seeing the absolute breakdown of our society because of these schools. They're not teaching these kids on how to behave, on how to act, on how to prepare themselves for what's next in life. So all I got to say is to stay involved in my campaign. You can text FIGHTER to 20503 for updates. And again, I ask you all, please do that so you're at least in the program. And you can text us and you can stay in touch with us. Now with that, I will open it up to questions. We have a microphone over there and I think we have one over here. So please come up and speak in the microphone. Paul, come up here. You come up here with me. No, I want you up here.
So you were talking about the homework, and I'm all for getting rid of the way homework is done. But my question is, I feel like with school, one of the things that we see is the lack of parental support for the majority of students. So how would you, if you're going to recreate or dismantle or rebuild school districts, my question is, how do you create or build a school district where the education is supported at home or the education is supportive of the home?
Paul, you want to go ahead?
Sure. I've been in public schools since 1974 and turning around schools in about 6 districts. And how you do it is the law holds parents accountable for their children's behavior, but the school does not enforce that. And so if a child is refusing to do their work, refusing to behave, they're disruptive in the class, and it's absolutely within the law to suspend them until they're ready to come back and do it. And the only thing keeping that from happening is weak administrators, and that's what Joey would address.
Absolutely, guys. And I'll say this because I've also spent this entire 22 months talking to parents. And when parents are going to have to come home because their kid's being suspended and they're going to miss work, you want to see a correction? You'll see a correction. Hold parents accountable. We have to be, they're our children. We have to do our jobs, and we have to do a better job. Next question. Go ahead.
Okay. Mine's more like comments.
Okay.
So I've been in the district for 25 years. But my aspect is more of a parent. The kids are my kids. I'm in a high school. First thing is, high school kids don't even know how to read a clock. Seriously, they don't know. They'll ask me what time it is. The clock is right on the wall. They don't know how to tell time. They can't read my handwriting. They don't know how to read cursive, okay? Can't write it, can't read it. I'm not making this up. Second of all, restorative discipline. My school does not do restorative discipline, but almost every parent that comes in screams and yells for restorative discipline. This is ridiculous. It's a cell phone. Give them another chance. Let them stay. Kids are not allowed to have their cell phones in their hands at all during the school day at our school. Only at lunchtime, okay? If it's even seen in their hand, in their pocket, if it beeps, if it vibrates, and it's heard, they have to turn it in. Parents have to come pick it up. I cannot tell you how many times we get screamed at, cussed at, because of that. So the issue with the restorative discipline is the parents want it, okay? They don't want us to send their kids home RPC'd for 2 days, 3 days. They don't want the kids sent home. We do that. So these are issues that we're up against being in the school.
I hear you.
Okay, I just want,
No,
and attendance, I'm attendance. I'm watching these, I can't even keep up. I can't, after 20 days, I have to withdraw the kids for non-attendance. I can't even keep up withdrawing the kids. I do 10 a day, and that's not enough. I have teachers coming to my desk every day. I haven't seen this kid since the beginning of the semester. Take him out. I can't keep up. I run reports every day. They're not coming to school.
Man, that's unfortunate. Scary. Scary.
Hello, testing. Yeah. I'd like to point out that, first of all, what we're not also talking about is a lot of these parents of these students has a lot to do with why they're not performing well. A lot of them disproportionately live in poverty. They don't even know how to speak English at home. This is what happens when you have a certain population in your area that is not very study-minded. Now, one of the reasons where I graduated high school, this was in South Orange County, California, Laguna Niguel. It had one of the highest test scores in the country because their parents would push their students to do well. Now, the problem was that a lot of people think, okay, well, if our test scores go up, we're going to magically be happily ever after and our schools are great. But here's the problem. There's no evidence. Just because you do well in school does not mean you're really learning and you're going to contribute to society. Because it's been 10 years later after graduation, and a lot of these students have not done much in the real world. And what was even worse was that was my second high school. When I switched high schools, my grades plummeted. And what was worse was the staff was pushy, picky. They wouldn't let me be myself. I would ask open-minded questions. They would just make me feel so uncomfortable. And this was kind of like the incident that happened at the Clark County Library where they were talking about racism. I didn't even speak. The host knew who I was. And I don't know if there was a private or public event, but they kicked me out, not only out of the event, but out of the library. And so this is just, I don't know what to ask, but I think test scores alone is not enough because we have to look at real learning.
I agree with you 100%. But again, guys, that's why some of the things I'm suggesting, like 200 hours of paid work, there's so many things these kids can do and should be able to do if they're prepared for it. Again, anybody that says, oh, we don't have enough trade schools or we don't have enough other things, we have it all. We just don't have kids that are prepared, willing, and able to engage in these. That's one of the biggest problems that I've come across in my talks. Go ahead.
Yes, sir, Mr. Gilbert, might be a little bit controversial, but is there a thought boys learn differently than girls? Is there a thought that we might have boy schools and girl schools to be able to encourage that kind of learning for that gender?
That's a great question. Paul? You want to hit that one?
I'd love to. Sure, I can tell you what I've seen in 40 plus years. When they go out there to get a job, the employer's not going to say, do you need a little extra, do you need, I don't know, orange lenses on your glasses, or do we need to let you come in later or whatever? The boss is going to say you get the job done or we got to get somebody to do it. And so, in my experience, we had a storefront school in Los Angeles that People magazine named it one of the top 5 stories of the year. Had the worst children in Los Angeles. You got to work hard to get that title. And it was nothing but drug addicts and gang members and repeat offenders. And we implemented the things that Joey was talking about today. And what was the result? Had all races, all gangs, put them all together. Over a decade, no fights. Average student made 2 years of provable academic growth in 10 months. 100% had jobs, 100% voluntarily tested clean, and these were lifelong addicts. They outperformed the kids at the local high school. They were so sweet and good. A true story. They were so good, we took them on a field trip out to Malibu Beach. And they were in a kind of a Tony neighborhood, and they were walking along, playing, just being good teenagers. And 2 older white women were walking on the beach, and they came over to my partner and I, and they said, our grandchildren go to a private school, but boy, they're nothing like your kids. Do you have any openings? Wow. Well, my partner lived for moments like this. And he said, well, yes, ma'am, we do, but the first requirement is at least 2 felonies. So, what will kids do? Exactly what you let them and not anything more. In terms of helping them, if somebody's struggling, black, white, brown, boy, girl, old, young, you simply say, this is something you need to learn. I'll stick with you. We'll work on it till you get it. We're not going to pretend you learned it and push you along. We're not going to get mad at you. We're just going to give you all the support you need until you get it. And they do. And our schools can do this.
Mac Miller.
So I'm Mac Miller, and I'm running for Lieutenant Governor. Hopefully this guy will be my boss. I have an 11-year-old, just like Joey, and I grew up in the Clark County School District. I'm a product of the Clark County School District. I've made mistakes, and I've been held accountable for those, and I expect to be held accountable for when I'm your lieutenant governor. But I'm going to tell a story. I was raised by a single mother and my grandmother from Louisiana, and I learned how to write cursive. They didn't teach it in school. And I learned how to read a clock without it being digital. And I've got an 11-year-old daughter, and I think she was 6 years old. Well, when she first started school, I joined the PTA for the first time because it was my first child. And I found out something, that read by 3, when I was in that PTA meeting, I was so proud because I was thinking, my goodness, Charlotte, she was reading like at 2, right? But then I learned that read by 3 was 3rd grade. And that's when I decided that something had to be done. The other thing was, I had my daughter reading law books and the Wall Street Journal and things of that nature, and I had an uncle that said that book is too hard for her. I said, no, Unc, that book's too hard for you. See, children don't know what they're not supposed to know. If you give a child a book to read, and my mother taught me, she said, read this. If you don't understand a word, you find the dictionary, you look it up, you write that word out in the definition, then you go back and reread the paragraph, and you keep doing it. So with that, in California, when I was in law school, I was on the board of a special needs school. And this is something that special needs school is a Jeffrey Foundation. There was a school that was designed specifically for special needs children, and here's something that no one ever talks about. Parents control the district, and they really should have more power. But parents also have a responsibility to not make the school district and the schools basically babysitters. So what that school did, and that organization, what they did was, not only did they build a school for special needs children, and that helped those kids, but there was one other thing that we did. We built a school across the street that taught the parents how to care for their special needs child. Because it was great that they had someone with all the degrees, the fancy degrees and everything, that knew how to care for their children while they're at school, but no one gives you an instruction manual when you have a child. So we also need, I think, to be looking at things like that. And, you know, we need a license and to take a test to drive and everything else. But everybody can have a child, and there's no instruction manual. So we can, on taxpayer dollars, we can help parents out too, to teach them how they can actually teach their child when they're not at school. We need, for homeschooling, I even believe, that's something that this man would be able to do, is not just say, oh, here's this little little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you figure it out yourself, and here's a manual, and you got to make sure your kid passes these tests while you're homeschooling them. Why can't we use taxpayer dollars, because they're already there? We don't need to raise taxes. The money's there. We need to audit the state, throw all those corrupt people in jail that are sending money to their friends. And we need to get that money back to the people who put it there in the first place, and help them teach their child how to be good citizens as well. Would you agree, Governor?
I would agree, guys. And real quick, before I do another question, I'll just say this. When I outlined the savings we could have on privatizing stuff, if I shared with you guys just a quick casual review of the books in this state, it is disgusting. There's enough money to do everything you all are talking about, and then some. Enough money for during this entire pandemic nonsense, we could have, if Steve Sisolak really gave a crap, all right, you got the Raiders playing ball, you got everybody else here, we could have put up tents and had kids in there getting 24-hour tutoring around the clock on MacBooks, on iPads, teachers that would have been there. It's all a bunch of garbage. Don't for one second believe we don't have the resources or the ability to do this. We do. We just don't have anybody with a damn backbone to stand up and say, this is what we're doing for our kids. And that's what I promised I would deliver. Without even let me tell you something, I will lose no sleep firing these people. I will lose no sleep getting rid of bad people. All right, that's your job. When you're the CEO of a company, you drive vision, you're a leader, you get the culture moving, and you get rid of the bad apples quickly. All right, so that's something that's very important. Everyone's got to understand. There has been too much mediocrity and too much accepting failure in this state. We have no leadership. We have a pandemic of failed leadership in this state. Next question.
Hello. I got it. Hi, Joey. Thanks
Hi.
for
Thank
for
you.
everything you do. We've had, between a group of 3 and other moms, we called 37 attorneys in August, and not one of them would answer the phone call. They would hang up. Nobody was willing to take on CCSD and Governor Sisolak, except for you and Sigal Chahida. So thank you for that.
Thank you. You guys, and Sigal Chahida, Sigal is running for Attorney General. I just want to say this. This is my campaign announcement. The one person who's fought shoulder to shoulder with me when, like they said, first of all, I never filed lawsuits in federal court, especially against school districts and teachers. So I had to call somebody, and she said, "Let's go, baby. Let's go." And we got the churches open. We filed the lawsuits against the school district, and we're still going. We're appealing the mask mandate to the Ninth Circuit because I don't trust Sisolak as far as I can throw him.
Amen. Yeah, thank you. So you kind of took into that. So we know you're fighting for our parental rights. We should be able to choose if our kids are wearing a mask on their face. This is absolutely ridiculous. They're falling behind, even further behind, just because of the masks. You know, you kind of gave a little bit of what you're doing next with this lawsuit and how we can support you in this lawsuit. When's the next court hearing and anything you can give us?
So we're up on appeal, and what that means is we're waiting to go up to the Ninth Circuit. The Ninth Circuit's where I slapped the governor around and got the churches open at. I was threatened, told that I'd be hit with attorney's fees. We went there anyway, and we beat them. And now we're taking them there again. And if you guys are seeing across this nation, Supreme Courts are handing down decisions that these mask mandates are unlawful, unconstitutional, and illegal. Like the parents have said all along, all right? And the other thing, you know, some of the things you can expect on day one, all this nonsense is gone. Day one. And not just gone, making sure it can't come back. And I can't do that. You can't ban, but what you can do is restrain any future governor from being able to carry on this nonsense for 2 years. All right? So again, it's the first time ever in the history of this country where board-certified, Ivy League school-trained doctors were deplatformed or canceled because they were sharing scientific facts. That will never happen again. Not in this state. And again, all the mandates are gone. All the testing of our beautiful, healthy children are gone. Okay, any of this, you know, Fauci-ouchie nonsense that doesn't work and is totally unnecessary for kids. We've got kids 0 through 19 years old, not one death in this state from COVID alone. But they're all en masse, and they're being pressured to get something that's an experimental treatment modality, and that's it. So what I bring to the table is a bunch of experience and very informed people and experts that'll come in and back me up to do what's right for the children. Any other questions?
Hey, just so everybody knows, if you want to ask a question, make your way over to that side microphone or this side. We got a couple lines forming over here.
Joey, first of all, thank you for your service.
Sure.
U.S. Army.
Thank you for your service to our country.
I want to say 2 things. First, when I was in prison, there was one thing that the men in prison were always talking amongst themselves when we had our private time. Many of us became Christians. And almost to the man, and I'm talking federal prison, almost to the man, those of us who became believers said, why did we not have the Bible taught in our schools?
We can mic drop right there, brother. Mic drop right there, because if they can teach us other nonsense, there's no, I understand church and state, I get it, but they can teach Satanism, they can teach this transgender nonsense, anything else you want to do, but you can't have God in school, can't do the Pledge of Allegiance. It's ridiculous. So thank you for that.
That was my next point you just answered, the Pledge of Allegiance.
Listen, we have to do so much work to get things back, guys. And again, moral courage and someone with a backbone that doesn't care about the next gig. One thing you need to know, I'm not trying to interview for Congress or Senate. I don't care what anyone says. I'm staying the hell here, and I'm staying up in northern Nevada. Don't worry, I'll be back and forth. But I'm not trying to go anywhere but fight here for the people, get this job done, and then go back to private life. Go ahead. Oh.
How's it going, Joey?
How you doing, man?
I just want to let everybody know here, I do not have children. I came here to show support to you.
Thank you.
And to also to see how many parents we're going to give support to you as well. Everyone here has already miles ahead of all the other people out at the sports bars watching the games and drinking and doing anything but being here, paying attention to their kids. Okay, so I just want to let everyone know that. I believe in what you've got going on.
Thank you.
As to the gentleman that said something about the male and the female separations, I want to say that like the other man, after high school, I spent a lot of time under the care of the state, as it were. And one of the things that you find similar in these state-run facilities, such as jails and schools, are fluorescent lighting, bad paint. It's depressing.
Sure.
So this money that you're talking about that we could find, revitalizing the look and the aesthetics of the school system would go a long way. The building itself is not someplace that people want to be in, especially not kids. So how do you expect someone to pay attention and be focused when everything around them is fighting for attention behavior problems? And there's studies about fluorescent lighting, about color and mood and all these other things. Wi-Fi is also a massive problem. It's horrible for us. So I think there's too many distractions in classrooms as far as the electronics and things. There's not enough reading, writing, arithmetic anymore. The engaging, that's what we learned. And to the other gentleman's point, just because you pass a test doesn't mean that you know anything. I think PhD also stands for permanent head damage as well. So the active, the engagement of doing things is how we learn. And so if we really want to get kids more involved, I think, or just people, we all learn from being a part of things. And especially when you're younger, we don't want to be shown things. We want to make mistakes on our own. We need to do that. That's how we understand. There's a difference between knowing something and understanding it. Knowing something makes you okay at it. Understanding makes you great, right? So when young people can be a part of their own process, when they can pick themselves up, they can also pat themselves on the back. And they retain this information. They don't need the cell phone. They don't care about the criticism from other people talking about them being nerds or anything like that. They don't really need their parents as much anymore because we're not always going to have those people with us. That's what schools are for, to raise us up as to be self-sufficient in life. If you go with male and female segregated schools, that's not the workforce. So we have to understand how to get along with each other and everyone, disagreements, agreements, all of that. And that's what the school system could or should be about, not what it is today, which is basically an indoctrination camp for these things. So I think we need to revitalize the interior and we need to get the kids involved actively. Don't talk to them. Give them projects. Projects taught us more than anything in schools than tests did at all. And I just want to say, everyone here, that I'm happy to see you all here because your kids are the ones that we all have to deal with out in public. So thank you for being a part and caring for your children. And you've got my vote for sure.
Thank you. Hey guys, I just want to say one thing Paul and I have talked extensively about is the fact that we'd like to see projects, not just work. And we'd like to see, they're putting these purposeful lights in, the colors, their scheme they're using, it's all for a reason. And it's reasons that we need to change. So don't think that's not something at the top of the list. Next question.
Hi, Mr. Gilbert. I like your presentation, and I just have a comment. I'm running for school board. My name is Erica Neely, and I'm running for District F.
Come up here. Come up here. So people can see you.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert.
Yes, and say that again so everybody can hear you.
So
It's loud and
I am
clear.
Erica Neely, and I'm running for school board. Thank you. And so you're right, more parents need to step up. And I'm stepping up because there is violence. There's no education, there's no reading, there's no math. And that, as a parent, makes me upset. So we need to get involved, and that's why I'm stepping up. So thank you for your presentation. I support everything you're saying. However, I do want to add a comment.
Go ahead.
And it's a positive one.
I can take criticism.
You can take it? You can take the punch? Okay,
Yep.
beautiful. We also need to teach our Constitution and the Bill of Rights. What the kids don't know.
There we go, baby.
Yes.
Thank you.
Whoever said what don't know won't hurt you, that's a lie. That is a lie. The kids need to know their rights, and we need to bring that back. And also, the school board needs to learn how to read them.
Yes.
So I suggest that we bring that back. Thank you, Mr. Gilbert.
I like that. So we're going to have a tutoring class for the school board on the Constitution. I like that. You know, guys, you guys probably don't know this, but did you know that our founding documents were recently labeled by the National Archives as dangerous material? Our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence, our Bill of Rights, they've labeled dangerous material. That's what they're teaching our children. And that's not by a mistake. So what she just said is so important that we re-educate our kids and reintroduce them to what makes this country so special. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. God, family, country. Go ahead.
My name's Alex. First of all, I was in the same situation. I do not have kids. I'm also here to support. But the main reason I supported you is because about 1 year ago, I was introduced to you through the phone. Now, I'm a former small business owner. I've made money. I've lost money. I've had to get back up on my feet. I know this situation a lot. I have a lot of small business owner friends that they got bullied nonstop throughout the lockdowns, being told how to run their businesses. Some businesses couldn't even operate. You were the first attorney to ever, right through the phone, tell me that all these mandates, all these lockdowns are all illegal, they're all nonsense, and you were willing to represent them for nothing. You just took a donation from the community.
And today, to this day, I beat OSHA 14 times for y'all. And I've never taken a penny. It's been an absolute honor hitting them with an uppercut and then a hook and knocking them down. So it's been awesome, and I'll keep doing it.
So the school topic here is, when I grew up, I had good teachers and I had bad teachers, and we had some of those teachers where our parents were frustrated with them, and they're just like, well, there's nothing we can do about it. Now, coming into my generation, with my friends, with their kids, and I talk to them, I have conversations with them, I know we're the generation that's not putting up with some of these teachers. You know, we have some of these teachers that'll just give you like a 200 question test, like the end of the week, and like you read all these questions on these tests, they have nothing to do with the textbook. So the teacher is just giving you material and just expecting you to know it naturally. They're not even teaching you. And that's also a big problem in our schools. We have those unions. I don't got anything against unions, but also too, why don't we take care of our teachers without them even having a union to begin with, and give them incentives to actually start teaching these kids and get rid of them?
I'll just say this, I have a big problem with unions. Unions that don't back their union members that are paying dues. That's the problem I have with unions. Overwhelmingly now, 50% of the teachers are not in the union anymore. They're trying to hide that number. All right, and it's because they're not getting the support they need. So I'll just say this, I will support our teachers, and I will support the union members that want better leadership from their leaders in the unions.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We just can't get rid of the unions in this perfect world right now. I mean, or unperfect world, but I'm saying, yeah.
We can decertify the teachers union.
Yeah, we could do that.
And we probably will. Just let me get in. Next question. Hi.
My name is Patty.
Hi, Patty.
Thank you for coming down here. I've heard about you from my nephew who lives up in Reno. I used to live there 11 years. I'm a proud 39-year Nevada resident. See, I said Nevada, right? Originally from Hawaii. And I don't have children either. But you know what? I've got 21 nieces and nephews. And I've got a problem with somebody when, like, I sent a text message to my niece, and it was kind of a funny meme with all these people wearing masks, right? Saying, silenced, you know, telling me what to do, all kinds of stuff, right? And I expected her to send me a LOL or something. When she texted me, she said, Aunt Patty, why don't you trust the government? You know what I responded to her? Because I looked at that and it took me back. I said to her, I said, why do you trust them? Because see, I come from a military family. My father was a DOD 39 years. My father-in-law, Vietnam vet. All the military here, thank you so much, and all your families for all of the, you know, the sacrifices. I'm old school. and they say, it's probably because you're old. Hey, you know what? I'm old school. I believe, like that young gal that was up here, Representative Neely, you got my vote. If I can vote in your district, District F, I think you said, you got my vote as well. Because the thing is, we have to go back to what made this country the most successful self-governed country in the world. There's a reason why people were fighting to come into America, right? There's a reason why my mother is of Korean descent. My father is American Greek. He's third generation here. I remember as a 7-year-old teaching my aunts and uncles from Korea how to speak English so that when they first came to be naturalized, that they could pass the test. How many of you know what the colors red, white, and blue on the flag mean? See, we don't teach that stuff anymore. And it's a crime. It is a crime. It's a crime, and if we don't go back to what made us great in the first place, I don't see anybody fighting to get into North Korea or China. I don't see people doing that. You know why? Nobody wants to live like that. That's not living, that's an existence. What we have in this country is incredible. And this sissy lack, that's, we know how he got into office now because we saw what happened with Trump. Okay, so we know ever since Harry Reid, this has been corrupt. And we have to demand. I mean, if you know that I checked into blood, to give donations in blood. Right now, there's a huge deficit of blood needed, right? Because so many people are sick. Even if you have AIDS or cancer, you can still give blood, but you have to give every form of ID. But you don't need ID to vote for somebody. You need ID to go drive a car, right? You need ID for everything. So you don't need it to vote? Really? So if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired like I am, we have to do something. Like Joey said, nobody has a backbone anymore. You know what? 4 months ago, almost to the day, my husband was kidnapped in the hospital. They gave him remdesivir and put him on a ventilator. You know the reason why I got him out of there? I fought with these hospitals here. You know the only reason why they let him loose after 30 hours of being there? I had them recorded on my phone. And I threatened that I would play that recording, which I'm going to play for you. Not right now, but because it's wrong and it's happening. So what's happening to our children? That's our future. I mean, look at these beautiful kids right here. When I see kids walking around with masks on, I'm just like, I have to bite my tongue. I just want to go, take the mask off your kid. What are you, stupid? And take that diaper off your face too. It's disgusting. We know it doesn't work. We know it doesn't work.
Fauci's email said it didn't work.
I mean, come on. If it worked, nobody would be wearing it. I mean, come on. So I'm sorry, I'm on a rant.
It's all right. You know what? That's what this is about. It's about ranting and raving about our beautiful children. And that's why everyone's here. And that's why I'm enjoying all the, like I said, the comments. Just stuff you don't get to do at the school board. That's what we're here to talk about and how we're going to fix it together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But thank you. And you've got my vote. I mean, anything I can do to help with your campaign, I'm on board.
Far and wide.
Because you know what? Telephone, telegraph, tell a woman. They'll tell everyone.
Yep.
So you got our vote. Thank you so much.
And I saw some of our union brothers and sisters joining us after their meeting. I'll tell you guys something real quick. How we win this state back is the mama bears, for sure, and our union folks that aren't going to just vote the way they're told. They're going to vote with their conscience, their heart, their faith, and for American values. We do that. We fix these elections. We fix everything. Remember that. Go ahead.
Hi, I've spent the last 25 years in education, in special ed and in administrative education, and I now work in a private school because it just became crazy with CCSD, and I can honestly say that my passion for education has been revived because I'm in a private school and it's back to where it used to be 25 years ago. The children stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. There's PTOs that are welcomed onto campus. It's so wonderful. The reality is, though, that my daughter, who is also up at UNLV, no longer, because She took advantage of what Nevada had to offer, and she went to a community college and earned her GEs for free because of her academic scores. She was able to go up to UNLV for free, but then she only went for a semester because literally racism and CRT is shoved down the throats of our liberal art teachers, future teachers. So she went up to Utah, and now she's into where it's normal again. And so we've lost a really great Nevada future teacher to Utah or to Arizona or to our neighboring states that have tradition instead of this craziness.
Talk about the paper that she had to write.
Oh, yeah. So my daughter, literally up at UNLV, was required in her multicultural education course to write a 5-page paper on why she's a white supremacist. That was just this last semester. So now she's up in Utah and getting her education and getting her BS, and it's really too bad because she's an amazing student and she would have been a great asset to Nevada. So my concerns are, I've been involved with lobbying and especially for vouchers as a SPED teacher. It passed under Sandoval and Hutchison. And unfortunately, it went right into appeals with the union. And that's when I realized how powerful the union was. So much of all these amazing ideas that you talked about are being stopped before they can go anywhere because of the legislature. We have a majority of Democrats in the legislature, and it stops before it even begins. And then, of course, you deal with the unions, and there's so much power. In addition to Clark County, I think it's 120,000 more Democrats than there are conservatives in this county. So you not only have to go up against CCSD, or you're going up against the people that are voting them into those places. And I would say the majority of my coworkers at CCSD were in support of these, quite frankly, if I can say, socialist, extremist ideas. They support the curriculum. If textbooks were written in 2016 for our future teachers up at UNLV, that multicultural education course, the entire textbook was CRT. And if you don't have parents that are there supporting your collegiate students, then they're being taught these things, and they actually believe that equity should be a word used in kindergarten. These kids have no idea what equity is. They're learning red, white, and blue, hopefully. And so, you know, it's such a ginormous mess that my hope and support, and the reason why I'm here tonight is I listened to the debates, and you sounded like a bulldog, and I thought, God bless you, because you're going to have to be that tough. So, thank you.
I'll tell you one thing, guys. They're not going to get their 2/3 majority. You know, I can't promise anything, but I'll tell you something. An awakening and a reckoning is coming, the likes of which these people have never imagined. And it's going to be handed to them by the mama bears, the homeschooling moms, our union brothers and sisters, military, ex-police, current military, current police, that law enforcement. They've had it. Everyone's had it. And I'll tell you something. The silent majority is going to be behind me, except they're getting louder every day. And I'll just say this. You know what? I'll veto every piece of garbage they want until they fix what I want. I'll veto every single thing that they want. I don't care what it's for. You got to have a governor with a spine. I'll tell them to get out of my office until they fix these things. And then we'll see what happens. Then we'll see what happens. You got to have the spine. You got to have the moral courage. I'm not worried about it. Don't worry about me. I'll handle it just fine. All right? I'm just going to say this. I'm not worried. What I'm worried about are people giving up. Our only other choice is what? Stop fighting? Let these guys win? Like they said, it's not that we're losing to the socialists and Marxists. It's that the conservative people with conservative values are giving up. Stop giving up. Fight with me, and let's fix this thing.
Hi, Joey. Thank you for all you and your fabulous team are doing. I have a couple of suggestions for brick and mortar schools. Eliminate screens and Wi-Fi and have physical exercise daily in elementary and middle schools. For high schools, bringing back teaching of life skills like home economics, woodshop, basic bank accounting. I love your trade schools idea, and most importantly, bringing back civics for all grades. Civics was replaced with the commie U.S. corporations' miseducation of the masses through the American government courses. People today don't know their constitutional rights, and that's the main reason we are in this mess and have so many sheeple. On the ID topic, our driver's license need to indicate citizenship because anyone with a PO box can get a driver's license, including all these refugees that are being brought in.
Hi, I'm Charlie. So, first I want to thank you for all the stuff you're doing for the state kids and adults.
Thank you.
Now, my question is, do you have any plans for allocating funds for homeschooling families like they do in other states?
Absolutely. 100%.
I thought so.
Thanks, Charlie. We love you, Charlie. Keep fighting, buddy.
Okay, I don't like speaking in public. My voice shakes, just excuse me. I'm Dr. Laura Mount. I'm not an MD or a DO, so I don't know, but I'm an audiologist. And I spent the last 22 months in between Northern California and Las Vegas working with veterans, kids at the Center of Early Intervention of Deafness, plus my patients here. And I can go on record as an expert witness to testify about the significant physical, emotional, and mental psychological impacts that masks are having. I knew that we were dealing with such politicized science, and I'm dealing with a mob in my profession as well, that I had to start from a clean data set. So I have over 1,000 veteran interviews that I have that can speak to the crimes against humanity that these lockdowns, masks, and everything count. I'm prepared to put my license on the line, my credibility on the line, and I'm writing mass exemptions. I wrote them for the San Joaquin Sheriff's Department. I've already started them for the Clark County School District. As I know right now, some principals are taking them, some aren't because I'm not a DO. All I need, or an MD, but I have more than the credentials, and I'll go up against any MD and any DO to speak about what these masks have done, because I will go on it.
She's hired. She's hired.
So I'm thinking too, if we flood the schools with these exemptions, and because in the exemption letter says, I'm prepared to go on record to testify under oath about the significant detrimental psychological, mental, and physical impacts that masks are causing these children. They're inhumane. And I can speak to it for all the PTSD and the suicidal vets that I've dealt with this past year, or this past 22 months. I'm done. So at this point, I get really angry about it. I see if we flood the principals with the letters, I don't know if they can, and we could do that. All I need is an email address, a date of birth, and the child's name, and I'll send them out.
Right on. Fighting back.
Sorry. Thank you. Hi, Joey. My name is Linda.
Hi.
I have two very disturbing concerns. One is CRT. I've seen what the classes are, and it scares me to death. What I did notice recently when Youngkin was voted in as governor, everything looked really, really good. And then all of a sudden, he said, okay, no more masks for kids. And he had all these, mandates. He said, get rid of them. But the second thing I saw was another big concern of mine, and that would be the unions. They're very heavily funded, they're very loud, and they seem to control most of the districts in the schools. And that concerns me. My question to you would be, how do you intend to not have CRT in the classes? They are deadly for our children, and I worry like crazy. A friend of mine has a little girl who's 6. She thinks she's a boy. That doesn't work, and it should not be taught in the schools. But I see a lot of parents, we were talking about parents earlier, there are parents, I think, that need to be taught that it's not good for their children. And I see what it's doing with our kids, other than the masking and all that. But I was happy about Yorkin in the first place. But then when I saw that the union stepped up and said, okay, well, we want the mandates anyway. And now it's been, I think he took it to court, and they're still voting to see whether he'll be able to continue on with the no mandates for children anymore. But I didn't like how fast they were able to get past this, man, because I was so happy to see that. And I thought it would, go throughout the United States, that's what we would have. But what would you do about CRT? What would your plan be to keep it out of our schools?
Well, it's to get rid of it immediately. And I know people say you can't do that. Yes, you can. Through the legislature, we can play the game with their bills. All right, if they don't want to do it, we'll do it for them. Like I said, it's going to take someone with the moral courage and a backbone to veto everything that comes in there. All right, and then with the teachers union can either, get behind the teachers that want the help, or we can decertify them, and we're at that number now. And when you have a governor who's going to use the bully pulpit, who's going to campaign, who's going to cajole and get out there and rally people to do this, rally the teachers, promise them that they'll have the support of the governor, of council, to make sure that they have all the resources they need to support what's best for the children, then I think you'll see real change. But until you have that, they're going to keep doing it. But I'll say this, we are at the level now where we can decertify these unions, and I will absolutely push for it, or they're going to either change their tune and get behind the teachers, or they're out. It's that simple. And I'll go to court with them too. They want to go to court, let's go. Let's go. All right? I'm not going to back down.
It's that simple. Thank you.
There's no backing down here.
Hi, my name is Stephanie. Well, there's two things that I want to ask. The first one was, oh my gosh, now I'm drawing a blank. Sorry, I'm nervous.
It's okay. Don't be nervous.
One of your first talking points was something about vouchers, and I'm not really familiar with that. If you can just clarify that for me. And then the second one was, it's been like kind of this ongoing joke in Las Vegas that, like teacher friends of mine, they say, oh, well, I'm on a teacher's salary. I can't do that or this, whatever. And so maybe by getting rid of those jobs that are unnecessary and reallocating those to like maybe paying teachers more as a way to incentivize better performance, is that
Absolutely. Everything's on the table. And when I say vouchers, I say education vouchers for all. Whoever wants them, listen, until the public schools can compete, are forced to compete, they have no incentive to improve. So I'm saying education vouchers for everyone that follow the students. You want to do homeschool, you want to put a little learning lab together, you get the money, it comes to you as a parent, and you use it how you want to use it. And I want to be the first one in the nation to launch it.
Hi, Joey. Thanks for doing this.
Sure.
I agree. This is the number one issue. My name is Jim. I'm a parent and a grandparent, but I'll put that aside. Your story about the kid that threatened the school up north and the principal took the kid to lunch, that's where it starts. Adults, I don't care if it's parents, security, teachers, principals, whoever it is, adults need to be on the same page. Kids are not dumb. We need to expect more from those kids. And when they see adults not on the same page, they will play into that. Behavioral issues is what leads to underperforming at academic levels. It has to start with the parents being on the same page. Now, a question I have for you regarding behavior. What is your position on cameras in school? Cops have to have body cams, dash cams, all kind of cams. Teachers should be held accountable as well to see what's going on in classrooms. Your thoughts?
I'm in favor of anything that's going to improve our schools. And if that means we have to see what's going on in there, first of all, like I just said, I want unannounced visits so we can really see what's going on there, but I have no problem with that. I think that's an excellent idea. Look, holding people accountable, that the central theme of my entire, platform is accountability. We have to hold these people accountable. Teachers, administrators, parents, there has to be accountability. And you're right, children respond to structure, to routine. I know my daughter is phenomenal because she has someone riding her every day. And she responds in an excellent fashion because she's being brought up right. And so I am a big fan of making sure that we're holding people accountable, and that's going to be something that I intend to do like no one's ever seen as governor.
Hi, Joey. Thank you for being here and doing this. You are a bright spot for us right now here in Nevada, so thank you.
Sure.
I have no children in the school district. And what I saw in the very beginning of all this stupid, crazy stuff we've been through is because I have a mental health professional background. I saw PTSD in the eyes of little kids. I'd be at Home Depot. I've never put that thing on my face, ever, this entire time. And I would see the look in their eyes, and it scared me. It really did. I stepped up and did some things through my church, and spoke to parents and kids, talked them off the ledge, and things like that. But here's my question for you. This is a massive school district, and I understand it takes a legislative action to break this school district up. What do you think about that?
I think it's a fantastic idea. Yeah. Listen, I'm just going to say this one more time. All options are on the table, guys. I'm not going to try and pretend that I can stand up here, but I'll say this. Like I say on day one, the mandates end, that the education task force is formed with Paul leading it. And a lot of you concerned parents and teachers sitting on there with us. And we're going to get to the drawing board and we're going to figure out what's best. And if that means we got to split it up, we got to split it up. But we're past the point of just accepting failure. We're past the point. So it's not going to be business as usual. It's not going to be what they're used to doing. You can expect massive change because I'm a massive change agent. That's my job.
Thank you, Joey. My name's Matthew Clendenin, and there's a couple things I'd like to bring up. But first of all, the concern with vouchers to me is it's from our federal taxes that are collected from us that goes to Washington. And then it's sent back to us. And as we know, everything that Washington funds, it controls. So when a voucher goes to a home school, guess who has the ultimate say what's taught in that home school? Or the voucher is no longer valid. Until we eliminate the Federal Department of Education and eliminate the middleman so they don't get their cut, we can keep 100% of that tax money in the state of Nevada where it belongs, and we can control that money. That's my concern with vouchers, is that ultimately at the end of the day, we still have no control over how that money is used. If we're putting it in the federal government's pocket, they get to choose how it's spent.
You know, it's like we've talked about, the federal government can keep their money, we'll keep the state funding. We have the money. But I'll say this right now, I've already said it once, I'm not going to allow the government in. The homeschoolers are already doing it right now. Homeschooling moms that are getting it, getting the money, and they don't have to be beholden to it. You know, we're going to make sure, again, this is something like I said before, I don't have all the answers, but not fighting is not an option.
No, it's not.
And again, I think, like I said, just based on the savings I've seen that we can have by reducing waste, privatizing services, we can have that money right here in the state.
Number two, unions. Okay, we have to make a distinction between unions and membership. I am a member of a union. That doesn't necessarily mean that the union represents me.
True.
And I can tell you from my recent experience with my union that it does not represent the majority of the rank and file of my union. So we have two issues when it comes to union. Yes, they have a lot of money and they have a lot of power, but until those of us in the union stand up and take back the union for us, for who they're supposed to represent. So this is a twofold fight. Yes, you've got to fight it from your end, but we've got to stand up with you on the other end as rank and file and say, you know what? You represent us, and we want you to do this, this, and this. So yes, I'll fight on the other side. You fight on your side.
Absolutely. That's how we do it.
Last point. The Declaration of Independence and the Constitution are extremely terrifying documents. Benjamin Franklin made it perfectly clear. Mama Bears, remember what they said. Franklin said, gentlemen, if we do not hang together, we will most assuredly hang separately. What they were committing was treason against the King of England. They knew exactly what they were doing. You know why it's such a scary, terrifying document? Because those that want to control our lives are afraid of it. Because if we take it back,
amen,
they get put back in their box and they become the servants
absolutely
of the masters. What are we? We are sovereign citizens. What is the sovereign? In this country, we don't know because we've never lived under monarchy like our founding fathers did. They knew exactly what sovereign meant. Sovereign meant you are the king. The Constitution and the Declaration of Independence were created for one purpose and one purpose only: Governments were implemented among men to secure these rights. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men and women, all people, black and white, brown and yellow, male, female, prosperous, wealthy, poor, are created equal. They're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I am a man of good character. I am tired of standing and doing nothing, because I see what happens when good people do nothing. It's where we are right now.
Absolutely.
Mama bears,
Yep.
you have another purpose. There are warriors and champions that are not sitting next to you. Warriors and champions fight. They fight to the death when they have something to fight for. But it takes a mama bear to get that warrior to stand up and fight. You have another job, ladies. Be that mama bear that inspires a warrior, a fighter, somebody that's going to stand up and lay their life down for a purpose. It's bigger than them. That's going to say, I will not give in, give up, or give out. I want to run for office. I want to make a change in this state. I'm tired of standing by. I need to talk to you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Hey, guys, let's try and do something. We get like one or two questions left on either side, and then I will stay afterwards, and I'm happy to talk to folks. But if we could just, Frankie?
Hi, Joey.
Hi.
I feel so cool that you know who I am. So first, I just want to say thank you just for being a voice for us, because we've needed a fighter for a very, very long time, and you are clearly a fighter. Like you're really here for the people, and it's so easy to see that authenticity. So I just want to say thank you for being here for all of us. So I know that you've discussed vouchers and allowing students to choose what's right for them, but besides vouchers, have you considered school choice? And if you have, what would you do to implement that school choice? So for example, also expanding on the opportunity scholarships, assisting with transportation, and how would you educate parents on the benefits of school choice?
Well, in my discussions with my experts, the unions like school choice because it's like it's like a teachers union bait and switch. You're still stuck in a broken system. It's just a better system. It's still some of the same nonsense. There are some good schools, but it's been my experience. I want to give the people the money. I want them to be able to make the choice themselves. So, I'm all for school choice. I'm all for scholar. I'm all for all of that. Like I said, everything's on the table. But we need to sit down with some folks that know what's going on and they're every day fighting, like the lady over here who was, giving us some information, and sit down and really figure out what's best for the kids, what's best for the families. I believe there's enough money in this system, now that I've seen it, in privatizing and waste. And, when we audit these cities and these school districts and these counties, you want to know what we're going to find? We're going to find hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, right? And then we're going to put it to work for the people. So all I can say is, I've only been, involved in looking at this stuff for about a year, and it's frightening. I'm blown away. I sit with elected leaders that I wouldn't trust to run a lemonade stand, and they're in charge of $1 billion budget. And I'm not joking. Like, I literally have to keep myself from walking out of the room. I'm so steaming mad. Because here they are trying to get more money. They don't even know what they're doing with the money they have. So at the end of the day, it comes down to accountability, auditing these guys, running it like a business, and doing what's best for the kids. But all I said again, all options are on the table. School choice is important in some areas, but as I've learned from Paul and from other teachers, we've got to crack the system. We've got to crack the curriculum. We've got to get rid of all the bad and all the stuff that's not in our kids' best interests, and make sure all these schools are doing what we want them to do. So it wouldn't be fair to trap kids in just a school choice.
Okay, Joey, first I want to thank you for representing us teachers who are non-union. We greatly appreciate it. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm probably one of those really bad CCSD teachers, because I see every kid to do their best. I'm tired of hearing students say, well, formative's only worth 20%. Why would I have to do that work? I'm tired of parents texting their kids while they're in the middle of a test and, oh, I didn't know it was a summative today. It's important I'm texting. We need to do something. I'm tired of administration telling me, you know what, that really crappy curriculum we just got you, learn to love it. You're going to have it for 7 years, whether you like it or not. We need to do something about this because it's breaking our system. I'm tired of hearing parents saying, weren't you the one out rioting in front of the school with the power to the parents before school hours? Yeah, that was me. Okay? So we need your support to get these things together. I'm tired of being covered up that the first period of the first class after winter break, the kids started the bathroom on fire. Did you hear it in the news? No. Is the bathroom still usable? No. I'm tired of the kids fighting outside of my classroom every single day. I'm tired of them calling each other names that I would never call another human being and getting away with it. But I'm the racist white old bitch because I expect the same from every child, no matter where they come from, who they are, or what they bring to the table, because that's why I'm there.
I see you on my transition team.
Thank you.
You guys give it up for that, okay? That doesn't happen every day. And that's who we need. Let's take a couple more. Let's take one over here.
Hi, my name is Amanda. I'm usually pretty outspoken, but I'm nervous tonight. So all I want to say is thank you, Joey, for doing what you do. I have a 12-year-old son in school that is wearing a mask right now that it's not doing good for him. And I have this guy that is my mom's boss that is a complete asshole. And my mother works at...
That's how you really feel.
Yeah, let me tell you how I really feel. My mom works at Metro and my sister's a CO. And he's done nothing good for our family. So, yeah. So I just want to say thank you, Joey. And for nothing else, I just hope that the right needs to stand up and start being loud. I'm so tired of the left being loud and getting their way. We all need to stand up, stand together, stand united, stand proud, and do what we need to do, just like the left does. I'm tired of them being the louder ones. Stand up and let's be louder.
You know, guys, someone who endorsed me early on, General Michael Flynn, and very proud to have the General's endorsement, he said that 2% of the passionate will defeat 98% of the disinterested every single time. So what she just said is absolutely right. It's time to stand up. It's time to stand shoulder to shoulder and start fighting for our kids. All right, I'll be there right there with you. And I tell you, there's nothing we can't do together. I've seen it this year. It's been an amazing year transformationally, seeing the Mama Bears show up and absolutely be wrecking balls in these county commissions, in these school boards, in these health boards, and we just got to keep doing it. We got to get louder, we got to get stronger, and everybody can recruit 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 more friends, and let's get after it. And let's take one more question over here, and then I'll do with you privately. Go ahead.
The greatest fear of human beings is the unknown. Thank you, Joey, for bringing clarity to your mission. And I think that we all need to start with a foundation because we've lost that. The thing that we're not talking about here is why is there so much dissension between the teachers and the parents? It didn't used to be that way when I was growing up. If you got beat at school, you got beat at home too, right? I don't think that we're probably going to go back to getting paddling at school, that we're a long way from that. However, because we've left God out of our schools, we've left God out of we weren't even allowed to go to church, right? We need to get back to that. So let's start the small ways. If we open every meeting like this with a Pledge of Allegiance and let people know where we stand, isn't that a start? Let's be clear. People are in the birthing room. These children are popping out of moms and they still are not clear on what gender they are. Well, how are our kids supposed to feel? How are they? There's no clarity there. They're very uncomfortable. And one more thing is let's speak into existence where we're going. I hear a lot of people venting, and it's really great to be in this room where we all share so many things, so many beliefs. Let's stop saying that we are tired. Let's move forward with energized. I am energized by your campaign and by you being an authentic man and standing before us and having a backbone to be able to move forward with the things that we want. Thank you.
Thank you. So guys, I'm going to wrap this up by just saying thank you guys so much for all being here. I'm going to be hanging out for a little while longer. We can continue talking, but don't let this moment go, for naught. Don't walk away from here not doing something. Everyone just has heard what we can do as parents. And again, you guys get me in, I'm going to be Steve Sisolak's worst nightmare, all right? Worst nightmare. You got to make sure that June 14th, you have to register as a Republican. You have to talk to your friends. Everybody's got friends that are pissing and moaning about everything that's been happening in the last 22 months. But are they going to vote? Apathy is the only thing that'll keep us in the same spot. So you got to call out to everyone you know. You got to send mass. Look, I never was political. I was never doing this. Here I am at the AHERN Hotel talking about schools. When it's probably, do I need to do this? Absolutely not. But does it need to be done? Hell yes. Hell yes. So I'm asking you guys to please get out there, get motivated, start talking to friends and family, reaching out to people you haven't talked to in a couple years maybe, and saying June 14th, it's going down. Because you send me against Sisolak, I'm not going to wait to the general to start cracking this guy upside the head. All right? I'm going to start hitting him every day after June 14th. Because then he has to run on his record, and he's going to be running against our record. This campaign is not about me. It's about we, the people. It's about us. It's about us fighting the system. We're in this together. This is not me. This is we. Remember that. I'm accountable to you, and that's who I'll be fighting for. So get out there, get involved, and get in the fight. Thank you. I love you, and God bless you.
Joey gives hundreds of talks, and he always closes his own. And one time, I'm going to ask him if I can close. If you'd please stand up for a minute. The reason I asked to close it is because I want to tell you a couple things he'd never tell you himself. We're referring to him as Joey Gilbert this evening. We ought to call him Haley's Comet. Because if you recall, it comes around about once every 75 years. And about a year ago, I came across him because I had a small legal matter, called his law office. I couldn't believe this. In my entire life, I've never spent 5 minutes helping any politician because they had no courage to stand up. I've known dozens and dozens of superintendents and fought them, ditto. Hundreds of principals. I can't begin to tell you how rare this guy is. And like I say, I just simply see this and realize that I've got mine. I had a full career. But we want everyone's children to have this. We want all of us to have it. All I can tell you is, if he doesn't get in office, and we think those schools are going to change, we're kidding ourselves. The guy's got courage and the willingness to face things that I haven't seen. And he'll listen and he'll do this. And so I can't encourage you enough. If you're not registered Republican, even if you don't stay that way, you can't vote for him in the primary. If we want to do something with our schools, we elect him. And then we step up and say, and I'm going to do the same thing. So if you would please join me in saying thanks, Joey, and thank you for coming.